How are you getting on, folks? Look at overall, I suppose you'd have to class it down as slightly disappointing. I know we still made profit at the end of the day with the 16-1 winner, but Jesus, that was tough going. That was tough going in that ground. Plenty of seconds, plenty of thirds. Very few winners bar that 16-1. It was the only winner we had, but like I said, we still came out with profit at the end of the day, even if the way I look at it, like with level stakes, to win you're up, I suppose, whether it's a tenner, like you'd be up 100 or whatever you'd be doing, but if you were to do them each way, you're still going to be up money anyway, with I suppose the actual what you call a winner actually paying out more than we staked overall throughout the day. So look at that's obviously another big plus going into tomorrow. We're going to be covering, I suppose, Cheltenham as well as Fairyhouse tomorrow as well. Lots and lots of value out there. I suppose, plenty of good opportunities out there. I think between Cheltenham and Fairyhouse, we've only picked one odds on horse. So really and truly, we are looking for plenty of value, and I definitely think that we are going to get it. Obviously, look, we'll cover Cheltenham first, the 115. I'm going to take a little bit of a chance here now. There's plenty of money going on up at the top of the market, but I'm going to possibly, I suppose, sneak in here with this Hawthorn Cottage for the Amy Murphy team. Very, very good overall there last year. I suppose, look at the reappearance was poor enough, but really and truly that was just to shake off the cobwebs, in my opinion. It's the only one to win over course. It's the only one to win over this distance. Really and truly, the ground shouldn't be too much in its hindrance. And really and truly, I definitely think 14-1 is definitely well worth getting on each way. I think Bet365 are paying a fifth of the odds for four places. Either that or a quarter of the odds for four places. I definitely think that is massive value at the end of the day. If it even comes in the top four, you're looking, I suppose, a 3 or a 4-1 winner payout. Really and truly though, it is definitely one of the more likelier ones to, I suppose, put in a bit of a shock, put in a bit of a, I don't know what word I'm trying to look for here, but I suppose just run on above the odds that it is at the minute, really, at the end of the day. And I definitely think 14-1 is definitely the value pick of the race, in my personal opinion. Next race then, the 150. Another each way shout now at this one. Although not as big of odds, we're going to go with the more setup here now with Beat the Judge. Currently trading around 7-1. Really and truly, it's definitely one of the more likelier ones. Put in a very good effort last time out over course and distance. That was behind Rouge Vif that day. And in my personal opinion, that is definitely the solid form of the race. Rouge Vif, obviously, they were aiming at that particular race, and they were going to have this horse particularly well in. So to come third behind them, definitely look at the top three in the market are definitely going to win again. They're definitely going to be winning fairly soon. And I personally think Beat the Judge at 6-1 is definitely well worth getting behind each way. He, more than likely, bar a fall, is definitely going to get in among the places, in my personal opinion. Next race then, we're going to go with the next best of the day here now, and we're going to go with Southfield Stone running into 225. I think it's currently trading around 13-8, 7-4-ish. Really and truly, again, another course and distance winner. Absolutely hosed up last time out. Very impressive winner. Really and truly, it doesn't really meet anything here that's, in my opinion anyway, Southfield Stone standard. Should be well capable of polishing off this field again tomorrow. And for the Nichols team, who is in serious form, I definitely think it's, I suppose, well worth looking into and well worth getting behind. Really and truly, it definitely looks to be pretty decent enough value at 13 to 8, 7 to 4 is close enough to a 2 to 1 for a horse that we know is in serious form and a previous course and distance winner as well. Next race, then we are going to leave it as the nap, and I'll explain further. We're moving on then to the 335 then, and we're going to go with another, I suppose, recent winner over Cheltenham. Does he know at 5 to 4? Really and truly, it's his race to lose at the end of the day. It was very, very impressive last time out. All you have to do is just look at the likes of the run it put in more so than anything else. It looked like it was in trouble coming around the final bend, but it found so much under pressure. Really and truly, it still looks to be a fairly decent mark. Doesn't really meet, I suppose, as much troublesome opponents, let's just say, in this particular race tomorrow. I personally think it should be odds on. I can't understand why it's even higher than even money at the end of the day. 5 to 4 looks to be very, very good value. Now the 405, last race of the day in Cheltenham. We're going to go with the Fergal O'Brien setup here now, and Paddy Brennan with Art Approval at 10 to 1 each way. Second to last 2 times out. Obviously the last time it was behind a very, very decent rival. Really and truly, it should be able to relish this sort of ground. Fergal O'Brien is in serious form this season. Paddy Brennan is definitely... when you see Fergal O'Brien teaming up with Paddy Brennan, you know you're on a fairly decent thing. I personally think 10 to 1 is massive, massive value. And each way, I suppose, bet on this race, you're looking, I suppose, if it places very minimum, you're looking at 2 to 1 return and a 9 to 4, say, in or around for a quarter of the odds. I'm not 100% sure which fraction it is, but it is an each way price. You're looking at better value getting a place more so than, I suppose, getting a potential winner. But really and truly, it does look to be one that's got plenty of improvement in him. And 10 to 1 is a great price. I wouldn't expect to see that, I suppose, come race time tomorrow, really, at the end of the day. Moving on to Fairyhouse then. 11.55, we are going to go with Deal Curra, and this is going to be our next best of the day, currently trading around 5 to 2. Cast your minds back to Galway last time out. Very, very heavily punted in. Looked to be, I suppose, absolutely thrown in at the way it's looked really and truly the eventual winner, but fell early on. Was very, very keen that day. Was absolutely pulling the arms out of Sean Flanagan. I would be imagining that he will be getting a clearer run of his fences. He was, I suppose, held up at the back, and he was, I suppose, close enough to rivals ahead of him at the end of the day. I think he's going to get more, I suppose, more airtime and more, I suppose, more of a passage is what I'm trying to say. If he turns up in the same sort of form, 5 to 2 is absolutely serious value. Really and truly, his form around Fairyhouse is second to none. The only time he was beaten in Fairyhouse, if I'm not mistaken, was the day when Envoyelen actually beat him. And look at the way Envoyelen has come on. Really and truly, it looks like he could be definitely one of the best horses in training at the minute. That's my personal opinion. I know there is a few others, like Andrew Halligan from the Finishing Line podcast. I know he's probably listening in as well. He definitely thinks Envoyelen is the best horse in training. Really and truly, though, Deal Curr should be able to polish these off fairly comfortably. Bar a fall. I know, look, it's easier said than done, bar a fall, but if he stays on his feet, he hoses up. That's my honest approval of this particular race, and I definitely think 5 to 2 is definitely well worth getting behind. You won't get it tomorrow. 12.55 then, we are going to go with Farmix at 5 to 1 for the Elizabeth Doyle team. And again, look at another one that hasn't ran since March. Actually, the last time it ran, it was the last actual day of racing before the first lockdown. But cast your minds back to that day, soft around Clonmel. It ended up hosing up by 20 odd lengths. Who was in behind him in second? Rebel Gold. Obviously, look at the followers of the page for quite some time would know we've had some fairly decent success with Rebel Gold since the resumption of racing. Form wise, he is bang on. Really and truly, it's definitely a front running horse. Should be able to set off from the front, and if taken to, I suppose, the chase and fences, it should be very, very hard to beat. I'd be imagining that it would be, I suppose, suited to the chase and fences. And I definitely think it will, I suppose, set a very, very strong gallop around Fairyhouse in soft to heavy ground. That's exactly what we're going to be meeting tomorrow. And I definitely think 5-1. Normally I would be tipping it up at an each way price, but I definitely think it's going to be one that's going to be winning tomorrow. I definitely cannot see any horse that's going to even trouble it tomorrow. Next race then, the 12.55, we are going to go with an each way shout here now with this one with Carrignagopple at 14-1. Look, it's a tricky enough old race now, to be quite honest with you. I'm sort of tied between 3, 4, 5 of these. But this Carrignagopple ran some fairly decent races in the feet last couple of times. Really and truly, 14-1 definitely looks to be a bit of an insult to the potential that this horse has come under. Really and truly, any sort of improvement will see this horse feature. Bar, I suppose, any mistakes in jumping or in running, I would definitely like to see this horse coming in maybe 4th, 5th, 6th, just off the pace, and I suppose striking late on, you could say. Really, at the end of the day, it's a hard old race to call, but I definitely think Carrignagopple at 14-1 is definitely, I suppose, well worth getting behind and sticking on a couple of quid each way. Next race then, the 130, we're actually going to go for an outsider in this one now. An awful lot of people are going to be, I suppose, getting behind the Gordon Elliott undefeated horse, and rightly so, but really and truly, Dreaming and Hoping at 8-1 is serious good each way value here. You look at the weights, it's very interesting here. Now, this Dreaming and Hoping definitely does like the softer ground, so the ground will be in its favour. The weights is what I'm seriously looking at in great style at the end of the day. They're all running off 11-12. Dreaming and Hoping is running off 10-13, I think. Or 10-11. It's either 10-13 or 10-11. It's not 10-12. But I don't know. Whatever it is anyway, it's definitely over a stone, or in or around a stone, better off at the weights anyway. Whatever it is, I definitely think, look at it's got a decent enough chance. It was behind Carrageen Lotus for the Liz Lawler, I think, transit in Galway, and it ran very, very respectably that day. Queelies have it. Queelies are in serious form. I think they're coming off, 11% strike rate over the last 2 weeks, with, I suppose, few runners here and there, but I definitely think they've found a fairly decent opportunity with this one here. This favourite is, I suppose, definitely the class act of the race. We're looking really for a horse to come in second at the end of the day, and really and truly at the weights, I definitely think Dreaming and Hoping is much, much better value. And the way it's working out, if we were to get behind the favourite here to win, and it actually does go on to win, and we had a separate bet at an each way for Dreaming and Hoping, and should this horse come in among the places, you're actually getting a better, I suppose, payout for a place with Dreaming and Hoping than you would, say, for a win with the Gordon Elliott favourite here. Really and truly, it should be, I suppose, an interesting enough race and an interesting enough outlook on it. Next race then, we are going to go with Royal Kahala at 5-1 for the Fahy team. This one here looks to be, I suppose, potentially well in, and it absolutely bolted up last time out. Over, I think it was over the same course, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Fairyhouse or Punchestown. It won last time out, but it won the guts at 12 or 13 lengths anyway. One of the two. Really and truly, I suppose, should it, I suppose, improve any more, you have to really consider this horse as a potential I suppose, well weighted and I suppose, treated horse here at the end of the day. 5-1 is great value. Look at, it's at an each way price. I definitely would be considering backing it each way. Next race then, we are going to leave it off for the nap, and I will be going on to this again, I suppose, coming near the end of the video, but the 3:15 then, we are going to go with John McConnell's Make Good. Obviously, look at it, it's been running for some fairly decent races. Actually, before I go any further, Make Good is currently trading around 4-1. Like I said, been running some fairly decent races. Really and truly, John McConnell is starting to hit form now. I definitely think it's well worth, I suppose, getting on board. Not so much an each way price because it's 4-1, and depending on I suppose, the fractions, most places are paying, I suppose, a fifth of the odds. So backing it each way is, I suppose, a waste of time. But really and truly, it does look to be one that potentially could prove a bit of I suppose, a tricky customer for the top two in the market. I definitely think, look at it, it's definitely between the top three. It's a tightly enough, I suppose, run race, and it should be very, very exciting in the finish. But I definitely think Make Good is, I suppose, above the price of Make Good compared to its potential of improvement is, I suppose, second to none value here, really, at the end of the day. Possibly it could go on to win. Possibly it mightn't win at all. Possibly it mightn't even get into places. But I'm going to be confident enough here. I'm going to get behind this horse. I definitely think, look, it's definitely the best value of the three. And I suppose, should things play in its favour, it should be able to, I suppose, cause a bit of an upset here. And then finally, then the last race of the day, we are going to go with Fairytale Empress in the 3:45 at 4-1. Look at it, it's locally enough trained, it's locally owned. I haven't heard anything about what way it has been, but it won pretty convincingly, beating Red Jerry, or no, not Red Jerry, Jive and Jerry for the Barco team last time out when it was 66-1 over course and distance as well. But what's interesting here is the form of, I suppose, this Jive and Jerry. It came back and it absolutely hosed up in Galway last time out in similar enough conditions as it met in Fairyhouse last time out. So really and truly, should this horse be sound, and should this horse be, I suppose, ready to go again, it should be well able to polish these off fairly well. Now, look, at saying that, Fahy's horse looks decent as well. Gordon Elliott's looks to be potentially well handicapped, and the Great White is definitely one that looks to be very, very well handicapped. But this Fairytale Empress, should it handle the £8, which it nearly should, I'd definitely be expecting a very decent run. Now, whether it's going to win or not, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. But it's just my personal opinion. And I suppose, look, at it's a bit of an emotional attachment as well. The fact that it is locally trained and locally owned. We're all, I suppose, getting behind it, really, at the end of the day. I want to wish, I suppose, the team the very best of luck. I know Liam Briscoe, local man and a good, I suppose, family friend of ours, does look after it and does, I suppose, a few jobs with it as well. I want to wish him and, I suppose, the team and the jockey the very best of luck tomorrow. Now, moving on to this nap. You're probably all wondering what is going on. We're going to do a nap double tomorrow. One for Cheltenham, one for Fairyhouse. Really and truly, what I am liking here, the 3 o'clock, Easy's land at 4 to 6. It's going to be meeting the ground at once. Really and truly, if it's if it's any better than soft, in terms of ground conditions tomorrow, I'd be very, very surprised. The rain that Ireland has had, and it's definitely moving in that direction for Cheltenham. So hopefully, somewhere along the line, something's going to push that rain over and absolutely sog up that ground tomorrow. Look at obviously Tiger Roll being Irish and all that. It is, I suppose, tough going against the Irish, but like you just look at the way Easy's Land polished them off in Cheltenham last or this, I suppose, this season's festival. If it's even close to the form that it is in, I'd be shocked to see it being even winning by less than 10 lengths. I would be thinking that this horse is going to absolutely hose up tomorrow. Really and truly, it should be very, very simple. 4 to 6. I know it's an odds-on horse, but really and truly, this surely is a certainty. I cannot see Tiger Roll even laying a glove on him tomorrow, like it was for the festival. Finally, then the 240, just before it, we're going to go with Fizon de Izzard. Fizon de Izzard. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that right or pronouncing it wrong. I don't really care. It's a tricky old name to pronounce, but this one trading at 5 to 6. Look at it's interesting. It was a very convincing winner in his point to point. Subsequently bought for I think 255,000. Really and truly, there isn't a horse in the field that's worth even close to that. Either the horse is miles above the rest, or else the owners have more money than sense. But either way, I definitely think this Fizon de Izzard is definitely well thrown in. Putting the two of them together, two odds-on horses that definitely look to be fairly decent certainties. It pays 2 to 1. I definitely think that's where the value lies tomorrow. And look at, if you're going to be getting on board, the very best of luck. Before we go, I want to give another bit of a plug to this new, I suppose, podcast program, documentary, whatever you want to call it. The Irish Racing Hour is going to be going up next month. Hopefully, we are aiming for the first, I suppose, Sunday of December. It's going to be every Sunday. We have plenty of guests lined up. I'm not going to, I suppose, spill the beans yet. Just, I suppose, to heighten the enthusiasm for it. But I will say this: there are some very, very big names in there. There are some Cheltenham winning jockeys, and there are some Cheltenham winning trainers. As well as that, we have we've a few, I suppose, behind the scenes crew in there as well. So you're going to be getting a definite mix and match between everyone in the industry. I think the guest list up to date is something like 25, 26 guests. So that at a weekly rate is looking at 6 months of content. So that is absolutely brilliant. I'll be getting on track to, I suppose, putting a timeline together and getting back to the guests when they're, I suppose, expected to be going on, or whether it'll suit them or not. We'll have to chop and change different things, all that sort of crack. But I guarantee that if you're interested in Irish racing at all, whether you're a worker or you're just a massive fan like I am, it's definitely going to be well worth tuning in every weekend. Myself and the boys in Racing Records, we've been working to the bone trying to get, I suppose, everything ready. I'm currently in the middle of, I suppose, getting a website and everything else like that ready as well. So hopefully that's going to be going live now in the next couple of days. But yeah, look at, that's all I'm really going to say anymore on the subject. Make sure to, I suppose, keep an eye out, keep an ear out, and I'll keep you posted up to date. But finally, before we go, please make sure to keep liking, sharing, subscribing. If you're going to be having a bet tomorrow, the very best of luck. I apologise for the length of this video, going on nearly 25 minutes. I didn't expect it to be going on that long, but yeah, when you're covering 2 meetings as well as that, plugging the I suppose the program going to be coming on now next month. It definitely takes up plenty of time. But very best of luck tomorrow. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, hope you're all on board the 16-1 winner there today.